Hello everyone. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at this new compact palette I got. It's the Winsor & Newton Cotman Mini Plus. I've liked the look of this palette for quite a while, and when I saw it in the Jackson's Black Friday sale I thought, why not give it a try? So as you can see, it comes with 8 Cotman pans. Thankfully they didn't put a black or a white in there, so that's good. So inside the palette itself, there's 7 mixing areas. The pans are held inside 2 baskets that clip into the tray. They're a bit of a pain to get out. There's probably a simpler way to remove them, but I just haven't figured it out yet. As for the colours inside, it's a pretty good selection. We have lemon yellow, PY175, cadmium red pale hue, PY65 and PR255, alizarin crimson hue, PR206, ultramarine, PV29, cerulean blue hue, PV15, viridian hue, PG7, yellow ochre, which is PY42, and finally burnt sienna, which is PR101. I'm not going to be swatching out the colours in this video, as it's unlikely I'm going to be keeping these pans. I generally find most Cotman colours to be pretty decent student grade paints, and the entire range is light fast, so that's another plus point. I just have far too many paints at the moment to get through, and I don't need any more. The inner tray that holds the pans can also clip on here if you want to paint handheld with the palette. You can also remove the pan baskets themselves, and then you've got some extra mixing space. I don't have that much experience using half pans, but I heard that different brands can be slightly different sizes. So far in here I've tried Van Gogh, Mungyo and Schminker, and they all fit no problem. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention is it comes with this tiny little synthetic brush. It just slides out from the slot on the front of the palette. It's just a normal tiny version of any regular travel brush. It's got Winsor Newton printed on the barrel. It's so small, really not much use to me, to be honest. But I guess it's always there in an emergency. Yeah, it's a very compact palette. It's smaller than I was actually expecting it to be. In comparison with my only other 8-pan palette, which is the Schminker Water Flask palette, I'd say they're pretty similar in size, but the all-metal construction of the Schminker makes it much heavier, of course. And if you fill it with water, the difference will be even greater. Here we've got the typical metal palette that most of us are used to seeing. It's a fair bit larger, but of course it usually comes holding 12 half pans. The only other compact palette I have is the Mijello Silver Class 12-pan palette. It's not quite in the same pocketable size range as the other 3, but I wanted to show it just for comparison. You can actually fit 16 Mijello pans in there, and those pans are a bit larger than standard half pans. As for width, well, the first 3 are all pretty similar. I'd say the standard metal palette is slightly thicker, but not that much. Right, now let's compare the mixing spaces. So in here you have 7 mixing areas, though if you want to clip the pan tray onto the palette, you're going to lose one of those mixing areas. Personally, I'd just put the tray on a table and have the extra mixing space. In comparison to the Schminker Water Flask palette, I'd say the Cotman definitely wins here. The lack of mixing space is really the Schminker palette's weakness. Now we'll compare it to the standard metal half pan palette. Even though I consider these palettes to be a bit boring because every brand uses them, They are well designed for their purpose. They've got 2 good deepish mixing areas in the lid and then 4 smaller ones along the flap. It is a bigger palette though, with 12 half pounds, so it should have more mixing space really. And the final comparison is with the Mijello Silver Class palette. This has just got the 2 deep mixing areas. I guess it's not really a fair comparison as this Mijello's almost twice the size of the Cotman. Quick note on the build quality. I was actually really impressed. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but this is a really strong little palette. I'd say the hinge is the most likely place it would break, but yeah, this one looks really solid. One other thing I would mention is that the plastic in the mixing areas is a slightly off-white color. It's kind of a beige white, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if the video shows it very accurately, but when you place it next to other palettes, you can see the difference. It's not that bright white that you'd expect. When actually mixing colors though, I don't think it's a problem. The color of the palette is probably closer to the actual sheet of paper you'll be painting on. Maybe that's intentional on the part of Winsor Newton, who knows. As with every plastic palette, you're going to get some beading when mixing on the new surface, and of course it's going to stain with certain pigments. The beading will probably improve with use though, that's usually the case. And you can always remove stains with a magic eraser. All in all, I think it's a really great compact palette. It comes with a good selection of colours. It's definitely worth the money that I paid for it anyway, even at full price. It does have some limitations, of course. You know, it's unlikely to be able to paint anything very large with it, and the brush that's included is pretty useless, at least to me. But as a pocketable sketchbook palette, yeah, I think it's pretty hard to beat. So what do you think of this palette? Have you any experience using it? And as I'm not going to be using the Cotman pans that came with it, what 8 colours do you recommend I should put in there? Let me know in the comments. And thank you all very much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye bye.